All right, we are tracking the possibility of severe storms. Make sure you pay attention to the forecast, not just for today, but also tomorrow.
One voice, one standard. The demand from local clergy to Governor Braun over what they call dangerous rhetoric.
And attention shoppers, the reason Walmart is raising its prices and when.
It's a gorgeous day at IMS. Drivers back out for practice and a familiar face back on track. That's coming up live from Indy. You're watching 13 News at 4.
Boy, it is a hot and steamy afternoon, and that could make way for some severe storms later this evening, maybe even some big hail. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us here at 4 o'clock on 13 News. I'm Dustin Grove.
And I'm Felicia Lawrence, and Rob Ellis is with us, and he has more on today's weather impact alert.
Yeah, the heat and humidity today, the warmest day we've seen so far this year, the possibility of storms later tonight, and an even bigger chance for tomorrow. So it's going to be a busy 36 hours, I'd say, here across central Indiana. Let's start with the heat because the temperatures, boy, they have been warm today. The humidity is also creeping up. You have the heat, you have the humidity. If we get a little impulse to move through here, that could trigger the possibility of storms, and we are thinking that is going to be the case. Currently sitting at 85 at the airport, but boy, look to the west. 90s in place right now for parts of Illinois, even a 90 showing up for Lafayette. That's the heat that's in place. We know we have the humidity, but thankfully the radar is quiet. For now, we think that's going to be changing later tonight and yet again for tomorrow. To our west, look at the warm temperatures. Chicago beating us by 5 degrees right now at 90. That wind is towards the lake, so they don't have any influence of the lake. They are able to warm up, and this is the area that we're going to be tracking for the possibility of severe storms for today. It's the northern half of Indiana. But tomorrow, that impulse strengthens, and the southern half of the state, not only do we see a better chance for severe storms, but it's a different location. So the northern half today, the southern half tomorrow, especially along the Ohio River Valley. Tonight, it's going to be sometime after 7 p.m., although I think it's going to be a little bit later into the evening for that, although we could see a few pop up around 7:30 to maybe 9 o'clock or so. But the better chance is going to be later in the evening, and then Friday after about 4 p.m. So another chance during that peak heating of the day. Large hail is a big concern. There's also going to be a chance for tornadoes, especially tomorrow. It has a higher threat than today. Gusty winds, lightning, multiple ways. Make sure you have multiple ways to get alerts. Lots of people are going to be out and about, especially for tomorrow evening since it's Friday. That chance for storms is there for this evening. During the overnight, we do expect rain and storms to be possible. Temperatures will stay mild for tonight, and they'll go back into the mid-80s for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the bigger storm threat. I'm going to outline that. We'll walk you through Future Track 13 coming up hour by hour in just a moment.
All right, Rob, and you at home can track the rain and the potential storms using our interactive radar. All you have to do is download the Doppler 13 weather app. It's a free download in your phone's app store.
And now we have some breaking news to get to. It is for bus riders in Marion County. For the first time in 15 years, Indigo says they are proposing fare increases. For example, a $1.75 base fare could rise to $2.75. Indigo says half fares will remain in place for some groups, with several free rider options still available. But overall, Indigo says operating costs have risen significantly due to inflation, fuel prices, and increased labor. Our Alex Almanza is at an Indigo board meeting right now. He is going to have the latest for us that begins at 5 o'clock.
I look forward to more details there. Also today, a coalition of clergy from throughout the state is now denouncing recent comments from Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith and calling on the governor to do the same.
So the clergy are disturbed that Beckwith has stood behind his comments about the 3/5 compromise in the original U.S. Constitution. Rich Nye is actually here with comments from those pastors at a news conference today. Rich, you have more to share with us?
So Beckwith made these comments back on April 25th. This was in a video that he posted on his X account, and it's still there.
This was a great move by the North to make sure that slavery would be eradicated in our nation. They knew what
Beckwith is talking about the 3/5 compromise, which counted only 3/5 of the slaves in each state toward the total population in deciding representation in the U.S. House. About 50 clergy members were part of a news conference this morning calling Beckwith's comments racist, false history, and political posturing.
We stand united in calling on Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith to retract his egregious and historically false comments about the 3/5 compromise. We urge him now to begin to make things right with the people of Indiana by beginning with an apology.
This is a group of pastors from across the city and the state working together to say we will not accept this from our lieutenant governor or from our governor.
This afternoon, the president of the Concerned Clergy of Indianapolis delivered a petition with over 1,100 signatures to the governor's office. The governor has said he did not like Beckwith's comments, but the Clergy Coalition wants the governor to condemn the comments more strongly and clearly. I did not hear back from the governor's office with a response today. Meantime, Beckwith's office did respond with a message today that said, "We don't have anything additional to add at this time." And one big reason why this Clergy Coalition is so outspoken about this issue is because Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith is also a pastor himself. So coming up at 6, the coalition addresses why they say Beckwith's comments contradict the gospel of Jesus.
And there has been a group of clergy who has done the same thing before in recent weeks, but this is a much larger group.
Right. This was primarily the local Indianapolis clergy and primarily black pastors. This is now expanded to include coalitions of pastors throughout the state and a lot more white pastors as well.
All right. Look forward to your story coming up tonight. Thank you.
We have more news to get to. So this was the scene around 9:30 last night along Mass Ave near 34th Street. And that's where a 24-year-old woman was killed in a shooting outside a near Northeast Side Event Center. The Marion County Coroner's Office says that woman was Michaela Jean Brent. And police say they found multiple shell casings at the scene. Now they're working to figure out if more than one gun was fired. Police are also looking for who pulled the trigger. It is unclear at this hour if the suspect left on foot or in a car. Officers are checking nearby businesses and homes for security video.
Now to the big story out of Washington, D.C. The Supreme Court hearing oral arguments in the debate over birthright citizenship. Part of President Trump's immigration policy wants to limit birthright citizenship to people who have at least one parent who's a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. Now, lower court decisions have blocked that from happening. So at the heart of this case today at the Supreme Court is whether those lower court decisions should be enforced nationwide. Should a district judge's decision be able to restrain presidential authority? The White House doesn't think so, but critics say it is vital to have uniformity on fundamental rights like birthright citizenship.
And I have to say, it was astonishing to hear the United States government tell the 9 justices of the Supreme Court that they weren't sure whether they would follow binding court precedent.
The long-standing interpretation of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution is that anyone born on U.S. soil is an American citizen, with few minor exceptions, including the children of diplomats.
Well, FBI offices across the country are being ordered to deploy more agents to immigration enforcement. The shift in priority for federal law enforcement comes as the White House is proposing a 5% cut in the Bureau's budget. An FBI spokesman is defending the shift, saying the agency is committed to supporting our partners in immigration enforcement and will remain so. And even the world's largest retailer is not immune to the impact of President Trump's tariffs.
Walmart is now warning customers to expect higher prices in the future. The retail chain's CEO says they plan to raise prices on some items, likely to start later this month. In prepared remarks for an earnings call today, the CEO said Walmart will do its best to keep prices as low as possible.